Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Rick Fussell, and this is the Ingrain Workshop. With the holiday season upon us, it's always great to have some holiday gift ideas. So in today's video, I'm going to be building these 3 wooden flags out of some scrap 2x4s. I'm going to be building a tattered 1776 Revolutionary flag, an American flag, and a Puerto Rican flag. Stick around if you want to learn how to build these gifts for the holiday season. That's coming up next here at the Ingrain Workshop. Did I mention scrap 2x4s? So these are all my leftovers from my last flag project, which was the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence flag. So the supervisor told me to clean up the scrap pile, and somehow that turned into building 3 more wooden flags out of these leftover 2x4s. Today we're making an American flag, a tattered 1776 Revolutionary flag, and a Puerto Rican flag, all from what most people would throw away. Picking through the scrap pile and grabbing all the 2x4s that were between 14 and 16 inches long, I headed over to the miter saw station. I clean up one end of each board, then with my stop block set to 13.5 inches, I cut everything down to final length. I'll leave a link in the description to a flag calculator that automatically gives you all the dimensions once you plug in your desired flag size: overall length and width, stripe width, union size, even the star dimensions. I'll also leave a link to a few different star templates you can purchase. Over at the table saw, I start ripping all my stripes to a final width of 9/16 of an inch strong, so 9/16 plus a 32nd. I need a total of 39 stripes, 13 for each of the 3 flags. Now, full transparency, the Puerto Rico flag was a last-minute request from the supervisor for one of her co-workers. I had already cut all my stripes planning to make another American flag, so I had to make correction later on when it came time to staining everything. If I had known ahead of time, I could have cut those stripes at 1.5 inches instead, since the flag only uses 5 wide stripes. And just a note, I'm cutting my stripes so the full 1.5 inch thickness of the 2x4 stays intact. That gives me plenty of material to carve in the waves and the contours later on. At my outfeed table, I get everything set up for the glue up. I grab 2 pieces of scrap 3/4 inch plywood with nice straight edges and clamp them down to the table to create a perfect 90-degree corner. That gives me a simple template to keep the flag square while everything goes together. Since these flags are for indoor use, I'm using some tight bond too, and because they're small, I don't need any fancy clamping calls. Just one quick grip and a couple of bar clamps to pull everything tight while the glue dries. After letting the glue dry overnight, I head back to the table saw. Using my miter gauge, I trim about a 1/64 of an inch off both sides of the flag just to square everything up and get it nice and true. Next up, let's just say I had a little camera malfunction and lost all the footage of me cutting the tattered edges on the 1776 flag over at the bandsaw. But honestly, it's simple to do. You could even cut these with a jigsaw. I'm not the most creative guy in the world, but it's easier than you think. Just sketch a few rips and tears along the ends and edges of the flag and cut along those lines. After that, I start laying out the waves. I like to run them at about a 45-degree angle and mark out the high and low points before carving. For this next step, the carving, I'll take everything outside. I'm using an angle grinder with a 4-inch carving disc to shape the waves. I like to start at the low points, or the valleys, and use the edge of the disc to carve a line at a 45-degree angle, about 1/4 inch deep. Then, using the face of the disc, I carve down to that depth until that 1/4 inch groove disappears. After that, I repeat the process, carve another 1/4 inch deep groove with the edge, then use the face of the disc to blend everything down. When you're done, you should have a nice 1/2 inch deep valley. From there, I just round over the high spots and repeat the process across the low points. Once the front of the flag is carved, I flip it over and put a back bevel on the sides and top, leaving the bottom flat so the flag can stand upright on its own. Then I swap out the carving disc for a 4-inch 80 grit flap sanding disc and sand everything up to 120 grit, both the front and the back bevel. And I repeat this whole carving and sanding process for all 3 flags. Using a foam pad insert on my random orbital sander, I'll sand both sides of the flag with 180 grit and then 220 grit. The foam pad makes it a lot easier to sand all those uneven carved surfaces. Once the sanding is done, I take a MAP gas torch and burn the front of the flag. I give it a light, even burn across the whole surface, then come back with a darker burn in the valleys to accentuate the waves. For now, I'm only burning the front side. Next, I tape off the location of the unions. For the American and 1776 flags, I'm using a star template. I'll leave links in the video description. The union size on the smaller flags is 4 1/8 inch by 5 13/16 of an inch. For the Puerto Rico flag, the union is an equilateral triangle, so all 3 sides match the width of the flag, which is 7 5/8 of an inch. With all the unions taped off, I can start staining. I'm using a Minwax solid color navy blue in a satin finish. I apply the stain with a foam brush, let it soak in for about 5 minutes, then wipe it off with a cotton rag. Once the unions are done, I remove the tape and start taping off the stripes. For the American and 1776 flags, the stripes were cut at 9/16 strong, so I just followed the joints between the boards. For the Puerto Rico flag, I divided the overall width of 7 1/2 inches by 5 stripes, which gives me 1 1/2 inches per stripe. I mark and tape accordingly. With the red stripes taped off, I stain them the same way as the unions. This time, I'm using a Minwax solid color barn red. Apply with a foam brush, wait 5 minutes, and wipe it off with a cotton rag. With the fronts of the flag stained, I can go ahead and finish the backs. I start by marking my territory like a junkyard dog with my branding iron, just to make sure that even though the supervisor is giving these away as gifts, everyone knows it was the Ingrain Workshop that did all the hard work. Once the brand is burned in, I bring the MAP torch back out and give the entire back a nice, even, medium burn. With the backs finished, I move back to the front and start laying out the stars. I tape my star template or the 1776 template over the unions with painter's tape and mark all the stars with a pencil. For the Puerto Rico flag, there's only one star and it's 2 1/2 inches in diameter. That one I can cut by hand with a chisel. I can't do that with the American and 1776 flags because those stars are way too small. Next, I grab my Dremel with a flex shaft. I use a number 105 bit to carve the outlines of all the stars and then switch to a number 106 bit to remove the bulk of the material. In full transparency here, that single star on the Puerto Rico flag took about 5 minutes. The 50 tiny stars on the American flag, that took about an hour and a half. I'd normally throw a sarcastic comment in right here, but I'll refrain from now. Lastly, I apply 3 coats of water-based polyurethane, sanding between each coat with 4/0 steel wool to wrap everything up and give the flags a nice smooth finish. There's something special about building a flag by hand. It's more than just wood and stain. It's the time, the care, and the hours spent carving out the waves and the stars. All of it's coming together to honor the history behind each one of these designs. The American flag, 13 stripes and 50 stars, carved and shaped from scrap lumber that most folks would just throw away. It stands for the same things it always has: freedom, sacrifice, and the people who get up every day and keep this country moving forward. The 1776 flag, rough, tattered, scarred around the edges, a reminder that the first version of this symbol wasn't clean or perfect. It was carried through fire, through mud, through weather and war, and even now, that design tells the story of a nation still fighting to define itself. And the Puerto Rican flag, bold, bright, and proud, different colors, different heritage, but still part of the American story, still part of what makes this country such a unique mix of cultures, history, and people. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope the video kind of gives you some ideas for some holiday gifts for your family and friends. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit that like button and please share the video. It really helps out a lot. If you're new to the channel and you like DIY and woodworking projects, then I highly recommend that you smash that subscribe button. It's free and painless, and I'd also ask that you ring that bell icon. That way you can be notified of all our upcoming videos. To all my existing subscribers, I really appreciate all the support that you give this channel. Now, I'll leave links in the video description below to any tools and equipment that I used on this build. And as always, I'm Rick with the Ingrain Workshop. Until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.